In this video, we'll uncover the hidden truths behind success through 10 gripping stories inspired by Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. Each episode reveals a shocking twist about what really shapes the world's most extraordinary achievers. Get ready to see success like never before. Episode 1, The Genius Illusion. Title: Smarter than everyone, and still lost. Opening scene: Elliot was the kind of student teachers talked about for years. He spoke 3 languages by 16, programmed his own video game at 14, and could explain quantum mechanics in a way that made it sound poetic. Scholarships poured in. Everyone said, "He's going to change the world." But 10 years later, Elliot is back in his childhood bedroom, tutoring online for minimum wage and arguing with his parents about rent. His rival, Aaron, barely passed calculus and once plagiarized a paper but now runs a successful tech startup with 2 rounds of venture capital and a TED Talk. Narration voiceover style: we grow up believing success is about raw talent. But in the real world, genius isn't enough, not if the doors stay locked. Backstory reveal: Elliot's life was a slow unraveling. At college, he couldn't navigate the bureaucracy, financial aid, networking events, alumni mixers. He hated asking for help. He thought talent would speak for itself. It didn't. Aaron, meanwhile, had an uncle in venture capital. A father who taught him how to shake hands, pitch ideas, and read a room. He wasn't the brightest, but he knew who to call. Mid-episode twist: Elliot applies for a job at Aaron's company. The HR rep looks stunned during the interview. "You're Elliot. Aaron always talks about you. Says you're the smartest guy he ever met." Elliot forces a smile. But the job goes to someone else. Not because he isn't qualified, but because he is overqualified and might not fit the culture. Closing monologue: Outliers aren't always the most brilliant. Often, they're just the ones who figured out the system early while the genius waited for the world to recognize him. Final twist. Closing shot: Elliot closes his laptop after another tutoring session, and opens a blank document. Its title: How the Smartest Guy in the Room Got Left Behind. Episode 2, The Lottery of Birth. Title: Born Too Late to Matter. Opening scene: a chilly winter morning in a quiet Canadian town. 2 mothers give birth in the same hospital, just 18 days apart. Both babies are healthy, loved, and destined for the same youth hockey league. But one will become a national star. The other won't even make the team. Their names Tyler and Jacob. Both born in the same year, but Tyler's birthday is January 2nd, and Jacob's is January 20th. Voiceover: we think talent separates winners from losers. But in this story, the difference is just 18 days. Childhood montage: by age 6, Tyler is taller, stronger, more coordinated. The coaches see him as a leader. He gets more playtime, more drills, more attention. Jacob, just 3 weeks younger, struggles to keep up. He is labeled as not aggressive enough, and gets benched. Coaching meeting dialogue: Tyler's a natural. Keep him in the A team. Jacob maybe next year. Or maybe he is just not cut out for it. Twist: what nobody talks about is the cut-off date, January 1st. The league groups kids by calendar year. So Tyler, born right after the cut-off, is always the oldest in his age group. Jacob, born just weeks later, is the youngest. At age 6, that's the difference between dominance and invisibility. Fast forward, age 16, Tyler's face is on national junior hockey posters. College scouts call his house. Jacob has quit hockey altogether. He works weekends at his uncle's repair shop and wonders why it never worked out. Narration: the world rewarded Tyler's age as if it were his talent, and punished Jacob's youth as if it were failure. Final scene: Jacob watches Tyler win another trophy on TV. The anchor says, "A true prodigy born to play." Jacob shakes his head and whispers, "Nah. Just born on time." Closing line voiceover: in the game of success, even your birthday can be your biggest advantage or your quietest curse. Episode 3, 10,000 Hours, or 10,000 Favors. Title: The Gig That Changed Everything. Opening scene: basement. Cold. Damp. 4 kids in their 20s, instruments in hand, rehearse for the 100th time. This is Nightshade, a garage band with more passion than prospects. 10 years of unpaid shows. 10 years of parents asking, "When are you going to get a real job?" Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, another band takes the stage in Hamburg, Germany. The crowd is wild. The club is grimy. The band the Silver Beats. Raw, unpolished, but they play 8 hours a night. Every night. Voiceover: hard work matters. But in the story of success, it's not just how long you play, it's where fate lets you perform. Flashback: 6 months earlier, the Silver Beats are just another Liverpool act playing pubs for tips until their manager, Alan, gets a call from an old friend who books gigs in Hamburg. Another act cancelled last minute. He needs a replacement tonight. Alan hesitates, then lies, "Sure. My boys are tight. Pro level. You'll love 'em." They weren't ready. But they got the spot. Montage: 8 shows a week. Bleeding fingers. Exhaustion. Drunken bar fights. But also, transformation. Their sound sharpens. Their stage presence hardens. In 18 months, they rack up over 1,200 hours of live performance. By the time they return home, they're not a garage band anymore, they're a force. Cut to Nightshade. Still grinding in their basement. Still broke. One member quits to work at an insurance firm. "We just need one big break," the lead singer pleads. But no call ever comes. Narration: the 10,000-hour rule made the Silver Beats legends. But they didn't find Hamburg. Hamburg found them. Twist: years later, the world knows the Silver Beats by their new name, the Beatles. And Nightshade, they play weekend gigs at weddings and cover bars. Their old demo tapes now sit in a shoebox under a bed. Closing monologue: yes, they practiced. Yes, they grinded. But so did hundreds of others. The difference: one favor. One cancelled flight. One friend of a friend, that changed music history. Final shot: the wedding DJ introduces Nightshade with a tired voice. They've been together for 20 years. They just never got their break. Fade out. Episode 4, Bill's Secret Advantage. Title: The Terminal That Time Forgot. Opening scene: Seattle, 1968. A private prep school called Lakeside is nestled in a leafy corner of the city. Most students are headed for law school, medicine, or Ivy League business tracks. But in a small room above the library, sits a humming, blinking terminal. It's not much to look at. A teletype machine hooked into a remote mainframe. Most students ignore it. But a lanky, awkward 8th grader named Bill Gates is obsessed. Voiceover: everyone knows Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard. That he co-founded Microsoft in a garage. But what they don't know, is where the real story started. Flashback: While most American schools are still decades away from accessing a computer, Lakeside happens to strike a deal with a local tech company. They install a terminal for student use just for fun. It's supposed to teach a few kids basic programming. But Gates he camps out in front of it for hours. Skipping gym. Sneaking in at night. Writing code just for the joy of it. Cut to montage, Bill meets Paul Allen, another student with the same fever. Together they push the terminal's limits. They hack time restrictions. They crash the system. They get banned. Then invited back. By the time Gates turns 17, he's logged thousands of hours of hands-on programming long before most colleges even touch a computer. Narration: Bill didn't he just work hard? He worked hard on the right thing, at the right time, in the only high school that even had a computer. Parallel storyline: across town, another brilliant kid Marlon is equally smart, equally driven. But his school can't afford a terminal. Marlon writes code by hand, with no machine to test it. By the time he gets to college, he's already years behind. He drops out after one semester. Twist: it wasn't about brilliance. It was about access. Bill Gates was born in the right city, with the right school, at the dawn of the right revolution. A single machine above a library turned into the seed of $1 trillion empire. Closing scene: Gates, much older now, gives a talk to a group of graduates. He smiles and says, "I was lucky. I had an unusual opportunity. Most people don't." The audience claps. But in the back row, Marlon, now working IT at a community college, listens in silence. Final line voiceover: we tell the story as if he beat the odds. The truth is he had the odds. And he made them count. Episode 5, The Curse of Culture. Title: Silent in the Cockpit. Opening scene: a state-of-the-art jetliner cruises smoothly at 38,000 feet. Inside the cockpit, the pilot and co-pilot operate with quiet precision. Suddenly, alarms blare. The plane starts to descend rapidly. Passengers scream. The cockpit chatter becomes tense, then silent. Voiceover: when the unthinkable happens, the instinct is to act. But sometimes, the rules you grew up with stop you from speaking up. Flashback: the co-pilot, Lee, grew up in a culture where questioning authority was taboo. Respect for elders and leaders was absolute. Saying no or "I disagree" was considered rude, dangerous even. In training, Lee learned to defer. To not contradict the captain, no matter what. Reconstruction scene: the cockpit recorder reveals the chilling truth, critical warnings went unspoken. The captain missed a vital instrument reading. Lee hesitated. He never voiced his doubts or challenged commands. Interview clip fictionalized: in my culture, respect is survival. But in the sky, silence can kill. Parallel storyline: contrast with Western flight schools, where co-pilots are trained aggressively to question captains and speak up. This culture of openness saves lives. Twist: the crash wasn't caused by machinery, weather, or negligence. It was caused by culture, a deadly inheritance embedded deep in communication styles and respect. Closing scene: a memorial for the victims. Family members hold pictures. Investigators vow to change pilot training worldwide. Closing voiceover: culture is a legacy passed down through generations. It can build us or break us. Sometimes, it's the invisible force that decides who survives. Episode 6, The Legacy You Can't Escape. Title: From Trauma to Triumph. Opening scene: in a cramped apartment, Maria, an immigrant mother, Works 2 jobs cleaning offices by day, sewing clothes by night. Her hands are worn, her eyes tired, but she never complains. Her son, Javier, watches quietly, absorbing every sacrifice. Voiceover, success isn't just about what you inherit. Sometimes, it's about what you survive. Flashback, Maria escaped a war-torn country, carrying nothing but hope and fierce determination. She faced discrimination, poverty, and heartbreak. But she passed down one lesson louder than words: never accept defeat. Montage, Javier grows up hearing stories of survival and grit. At school, he struggles not because he lacks talent, but because of the scars he carries. The trauma of his mother's past shadows him. Conflict scene, Javier's teachers doubt him. His peers bully him. He nearly drops out. Turning point, one day, after a harsh failure, Javier remembers his mother's words: fight harder. Your past isn't your prison. He throws himself into work, not to erase his past but to wield it. The resilience born from his mother's pain becomes his weapon. Narration, trauma doesn't just leave wounds. It can forge unbreakable strength. The outlier isn't just lucky, they're often shaped by what others try to bury. Twist, Javier becomes a successful entrepreneur, not in spite of his background, but because of the lessons encoded in his family's history. Closing scene, Maria watches Javier on a news interview. She smiles, knowing her sacrifice wasn't just survival, it was the seed of a legacy. Final voiceover, we can't choose our beginnings. But sometimes, the darkest legacies give birth to the brightest futures. Episode 7, The Talent Trap. Title, Praise to Failure. Opening scene, a packed auditorium. A child prodigy, Emily, is lauded as a genius pianist by age 7. Flashbulbs pop, crowds cheer. She seems destined for greatness. Voiceover, everyone dreams of early talent. But what if the brightest stars burn out fastest? Montage, Emily's life is a whirlwind of competitions, lessons, and accolades. She's told she's gifted, special, born to succeed. But with every win, the pressure grows. Contrast scene, meanwhile, across town, Sam struggles in school. He's clumsy, slow to read, but he loves music. He practices every night, sometimes crying over mistakes. Turning point, Emily hits a wall at 16. The joy is gone. She freezes on stage. The world's praise has become a cage. Private moment, her coach tells her, "You were never taught to fail. You were taught to win." Sam's journey, Sam's steady grind pays off. At 40, he finally wins a national competition. Not because he's the most talented, but because he's the most resilient. Narration, talent feels like a gift. But it can be a trap. Those who learn to struggle, often outlast the gifted. Twist, Emily's failure wasn't talent lost, it was the absence of hardship. Sam's success wasn't overnight, it was decades of small battles. Closing scene, Emily watches Sam perform on TV. A quiet nod. Maybe it's not too late. Final voiceover, the outliers aren't just born brilliant, they're born ready to fight. Episode 8, When Luck Wears a Suit. Title, The Call That Never Came. Opening scene, 2 young professionals, Jessica and Marcus, sit nervously in identical interview rooms on the same day. Both have impeccable resumes, top schools, stellar experience, glowing recommendations. Voiceover, in the race for success, talent and hard work set you at the starting line. But sometimes, the finish line moves depending on who you know. Montage, Jessica aces her interview. She's articulate, confident, prepared. Marcus is equally impressive. Both wait anxiously for a call. Cut to, Jessica's phone rings. She gets the job. Marcus checks his phone repeatedly. No call. Flashback, at a country club golf course, the hiring manager chats casually with a middle-aged man, Marcus's father. They laugh, share stories, and shake hands. Narration, Marcus wasn't just a candidate. He was a referral. But more importantly, his father played golf with the decision-maker. That casual game sealed the deal. Contrast scene, Jessica's family never had the luxury of golf courses or social networks. Her late nights, sacrifices, and perfect scores meant little against invisible social currencies. Twist, Marcus's success wasn't earned by merit alone. It was brokered by social ties, handshakes, and unspoken debts. Closing scene, Jessica scrolls through social media, seeing Marcus's announcement. Her jaw tightens, not bitterness, but the cold clarity of a system built for some, not all. Final voiceover, work hard, they say. But sometimes, luck wears a suit and sits across a polished mahogany table. Episode 9, The Myth of Meritocracy. Title, The Rules Were Written Before You. Opening scene, a straight-A student named Maya stands outside the gates of an elite university, clutching her acceptance letter to a lesser school. She's puzzled, frustrated, and confused. Voiceover, they tell you, work hard, and you'll get in. But what if the game itself was rigged before you even started playing? Flashback, Maya's childhood, hours of study, tutors, volunteering. She checks every box perfectly. Yet, when application season arrives, the elite university rejects her. Cut to, inside the admissions office, an old file reveals decades-old preferences favoring legacy students, donors' children, and those from elite prep schools. The rules weren't written for Maya. Parallel storyline, legacy students with average grades and mediocre essays stroll in effortlessly. Narration, meritocracy sounds fair. But when the rules favor the privileged, talent and hard work alone aren't enough. Twist, Maya realizes success isn't about her merit alone, it's about navigating the system built to exclude people like her. Closing scene, Maya, now a lawyer, fights to change admissions policies and widen access. Her struggle is the start of a new legacy. Final voiceover, the myth of meritocracy keeps us chasing a dream. But the real outliers are those who rewrite the rules. Episode 10, Success, Engineered. Title, The Real Outlier. Opening scene, a montage flashes through the faces and stories from the previous episodes. Bill Gates at his terminal, Lee silent in the cockpit, Javier fighting through struggle, Maya standing firm outside the gates. Voiceover, success feels like a mystery, a magic only a few possess. But what if the secret is something far simpler and far darker? Cut to, a shadowy figure at a chessboard, moving pieces deliberately. Narration, success isn't just about talent, hard work, or luck. It's about engineering the game, understanding the hidden rules, the timing, the culture, the connections. Flashback montage, Bill Gates, not just brilliant, but placed at the perfect intersection of time and access. The hockey player born just after the cut-off date, stealing the edge. The immigrant son using trauma as fuel. The co-pilot trapped by culture. Maya fighting an uneven system. Voiceover, the real outliers aren't just gifted. They're the ones who see the system's architecture and hack it. Dramatic twist, suddenly, the chessboard is revealed as a metaphor for life's unspoken game. The players not just individuals, but entire cultures, generations, and institutions. Closing scene, back to the shadowy figure now revealed as a wise narrator looking straight at the camera. If you want to be an outlier, don't just work harder. Learn the rules. Bend them. Break them. And rewrite your own destiny. Final line, the screen fades to black with the words, "Success is engineered." The question is, will you be the engineer?